Okay, welcome back. And right now we have our featured topic.
Oh, you finally got it right. Episode 91, you finally got it right.
Yeah, because this is the part that you came up with, so it's kind of like, oh, God.
Yeah.
But,
So, anyways, we have one featured topic left. One left. And our featured topic for today is, can you recognize when you're the villain and not the victim?
yeah. Well, being the victim most of the time.
A lot of people victims all the time.
Yeah. Okay. No. All right. Can you recognize when you're the villain, not the victim? Okay. So when I used to drink, I've been sober for 21 years, right?
Okay.
I was always the victim in my mind while I villainized people. I used to be a villain. I used to be a really, really bad. I told you, this is a true story. This is a true story. I used to be in college. When I was in college, I used to be in my apartment and somebody would do something to me. I remember my friend Aaron, I don't mean to put you out there like that. One of my friends, I remember I used to be in my apartment and I used to say stuff like, piss, I'm gonna ruin him. I used to, but
Vengeful.
but I feel like my victim mentality started when I was in the 9th grade, right? So I used to be a really, really fat kid. I was like 360 pounds, right? And then by the end of 10th grade, I was 175.
Okay.
So the same people that treated me bad became my friends. And then I remember girls like saying stuff like, "We can actually date you now." Mm-hmm. Swear to God, true story.
That's terrible.
Like, and I felt like it just built up. It just made, and then I realized the same people that treated me bad were way more insecure than I ever was. Mm-hmm. So it made me build up this thing of like victimizing people. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I'm in touch with my emotional side enough to know when I am being a villain. But when I started drinking a lot, I was drinking a lot and I was like not sober and things were going on. And when I turned 24, I stopped drinking. And I was like, I don't want to be that person anymore. Mm-hmm. And I feel like being the villain a lot of times, sometimes it has to do with maturity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sometimes it has to do with greed.
Yeah. Sometimes
it has to do with control.
Yeah.
Sometimes it has to do with power. But all these things are based on the day we stop growing up. The day that trauma, whatever happened to you that you can't get over, turn you into this person. But the thing about those traumas is you have to talk about them and you have to deal with them to know that these are the things that make you victim. Now I have situations now like where I have like had an incident with somebody that I know and they have been such a victim the whole time. And they're sending me like text messages about how I'm like a bad person and how like they're such a victim. That's because this person haven't dealt with their traumas. Somebody I probably never talked to again for the rest of my life. But I just feel like a lot of times people aren't emotionally aware enough, and they're not emotionally mature enough to realize when they're the victim.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Yeah. Ladies first.
Then go on.
I feel like don't play him like that. Come on now. I feel like it depends on your perspective. So if we're talking about villainizing as far as pointing fingers, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But for me, choosing yourself oftentimes gets mistaken for being a villain, because you're always going to be a villain in somebody's story, right?
Yeah.
So it depends. To me, that it depends on that. So, like, let's just say, for example, you spend so much time being the victim or being at the mercy of something or someone or always doing for other people. When it comes time to do for you, all of a sudden they're the victim and you're the villain.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to choose them. You don't want to do what they want you to do. You want to do what you want to do. If we want to take it that route. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
But I've also had a conversation with a friend of mine recently about, like, when you have good friends, they're going to have tough conversations with you about yourself. Call you out on what you do and how you are. They said, would you be okay with talking to somebody about how they experience you? Like, would you be comfortable with that? And I said, well, no, because I personally don't want to know what people think about me. Because I sometimes still have that victim mentality where it's like, well, you're wrong. And in this situation, you don't understand how that made me feel.
Yeah.
But you gotta shift the perspective most times. Like, okay, how did I make that person feel? And were they the victim?
Okay, so what you just said, that you don't want to hear what people say, how you make them feel. Sometimes that's okay to feel like that, depending on the person.
But I just know me, and I know the work that I'm doing to better myself. I'm not ready for that because then I will switch to victim mentality very quickly.
Yeah.
But the thing is, sometimes you do need to hear how people experience it.
Yeah.
Because,
Very
like, we
true.
had a situation the other day on the show when you told me that I said something to you that was rude, right?
That was off camera.
But we can talk about it.
Yeah,
we
it
can
was
talk
off-
about it.
it was off
Because
camera.
we got over it.
Yeah.
We got over
Yeah.
it. But the thing about it is, I felt like you brought that to my attention
Yeah.
because I wasn't paying attention that I was being rude, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But in my mind, that wasn't my intention.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes, like you said, you don't really have an idea of what you're doing because because of certain things you said you switch from switch from whatever you said. You said you switch from taking care of yourself opposed to take care of the other person.
Exactly.
Because in that situation, I was telling you, I was like, go check the camera. You know what I'm saying? And it was like rude as hell, but I didn't realize that's what I was doing because you just realized. Go ahead.
Well, I was
should've
gonna
brought it
say
up on
too, to
camera.
take it a step deeper.
We talking.
I've experienced where it was like, not to be too deep.
Yeah.
The situation I was in before I moved back to Cleveland, I was with somebody who, before he met me, was married.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know until I got with this person.
Girl,
They were separated a whole year, okay? My kid's father. Separated a whole year from his ex-wife. I come into the picture. We start our family, do our thing, boom, boom, boom. I'm a firm believer in God and the covenant and being somebody's wife. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I was working towards with this person. We did it backwards, but it happened.
Yeah.
So I was having a conversation with my friend about it, and they were like, well, you know, all the stuff that you went through was justified because you walked in the middle of a covenant with a man and his wife. That man was still married.
He's still married.
Whether or not you knew about it has nothing to do with the fact that in the eyes of God, they're still married.
Yeah.
And you are playing a part taking that man away from his wife.
Yeah.
So all of everything that happened to you in that regard is your fault.
Yeah.
And I had to sit there and I'm like, but I sat up here and I did A, B, and C for this man, and he ended up getting divorced, and I was still ride or die, good woman. He didn't want to marry me. He was like, but that man was married when you got with him. So.
But the thing about it, people do keep in the back of their mind things that you do while they're with you. So he felt like he got comfortable and felt like this is easy being with her, and she didn't let me go and get divorced first. So this relationship, because people are selfish. Dudes are selfish in a different way than women are selfish. You know what I'm saying? And dude in the back of his mind, like, well, I was married. She knew that I was married, and all I gave her was the promise of breaking the covenant.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
it did eventually end up leading to a divorce after our second child was born. But then after that, it was no incentive to put me in that role. You see what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
Right, because he
And
felt like
then-
he already had you.
Man, this sounds like a
before.
good conversation.
Yeah.
And then to add insult to injury, I had told my friend, I'm like, well, now I kind of feel like I wasted 12 years because
Ooh,
now
that was 12
he,
years?
12 years, 3 kids. Now he is in a position to be the man he was supposed to be for me, for somebody else. He said to me, hey, but you got to understand, though, that's how it was supposed to be. Every negative thing that you experienced with this man was God trying to tell you, move. This is not for you. This is not meant for you. While you sitting up here crying victim, you were the villain.
Because you know sometimes...
Man,
Because at the end of the day, that man had a wife. Even though he was separated from her, in the eyes of God, they were still together.
You know sometimes God puts you through stuff because you know why God puts you through stuff sometimes? Because he's trying to see if you're still stupid. Like, seriously.
And I was
that's
definitely
that's
stupid
why,
for 12 years.
I'm about to jump into the conversation.
Go ahead.
So I enjoy being the villain.
Okay.
You know what? I don't know you that well, but I could see that.
Yeah, it's fun
It's-
being
yeah,
it's
it's
fun
in your
being,
aura.
being the villain because after a while, once you become a victim so many times, it's like let me be a villain for a little bit.
Let me be the
Yeah,
bad guy.
and wreck other people's lives and wreck other
That
people's.
sounds
But
like-
see, no.
Yeah,
You
that's
can't
like-
go that route.
No.
Yeah,
That sounds like bitterness.
Yeah.
Do we need to pray?
Yeah, you need to pray.
No, but let's see, victim. A lot of times I do know when I'm the villain, and I could. Yeah, I know when I'm the villain, and I mean, would I admit it? Yeah, I will admit it. But I feel like I become the villain once I'm the victim. So I feel like you know, once I'm in a situation where I feel like I'm the victim, it probably is like some type of like revenge or retribution towards people, because I'll do like little certain things that I know that's gonna aggravate somebody or it's gonna get on their nerves, because like I'm big on respect, and I feel like I respect everybody. And once you cross that line and disrespect me, it's like all bets are off, because I've been respectful, and you know I try to show you respect. Why are you looking at that?
I'm thinking about something I want to say before I forget it.
Oh, go ahead, say it.
I just feel like sometimes culturally we do this, and based on who we are, we do this. Sometimes we create villains and victims in stories that don't have a villain and a victim. They just have a situation. They just have, they just have an experience. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just experience things with your friends, and your friend, like, I don't know if people get bored, or people get like, or people just start thinking about their trauma, or feel like this is too perfect, this is too good, and then just throw villains and victims in the story.
Too much peace.
Because I just realized that that's what people do. People like, you know what? And they always about your color or mine.
Yeah, but
Brown people.
Brown people love, because we have so much trauma.
Yeah, but when something does happen to me, and I feel like a victim, I have to sit back and analyze, like, am I really a victim, or am I just playing the victim, or what? You know, I try to analyze and reevaluate myself in the situation and ask, like, okay, well, am I really doing what I'm supposed to be doing in order for me to feel like a victim, or am I just over exaggerating me being the victim?
Yeah, a lot of people can't. They can't find the distinction or compartmentalize.
Yeah.
But like a lot of times it's important to do that, because, like I said, you never know like what people actually truly think, and are you ready to know that?
Yeah. So but I'm pretty comfortable with myself to check myself when I know that I'm wrong. Like, I can have a conversation, like me and him have conversations all the time, and he'll tell me, like, you know, you did this, you did that, and I can sit there and look and like, yeah, you're right, you know. Yeah. But like, even like when we have our conversations or we have our disagreements or whatnot, we're mature enough to, okay, we stated our piece, this is what happened, and let's move on. No grudges, you know what I'm saying? Like,
a lot of people
and that's why they fall into the victim mentality, because it's like they're not ready to have that conversation.
But sometimes you just, and if you do enough research and do enough digging and be on the internet enough, you find out some of these people was dealing with these situations, which was crazy anyway. So you know,
talk about it.
Yeah. So God will have
say
a way.
that.
God, amen. Hallelujah. Ashanti, Beyonce.
You know what? I rebuke that. Don't do that.
No, it was. you ain't never been to church. Every time you go to church, they say Ashanti.
Listen.
I'm like, and she's not even a good singer, but sorry,
hey.
Ashanti. Yeah, she used to sing for
I feel
that lightning ready to strike.
No, I'm talking about Ashanti. I'm not talking about church. But yeah, the victim mentality is a very strong thing. We're gonna go on to the next portion.
Yeah, be the villain sometimes.
Yeah, and
it's okay to be the villain when you're choosing yourself.
Yeah. Okay, you right. Yeah.